Hello, Annie here from Little Wings Creates. Today I'm guest designing for Dare to be Artsy. I'm creating this fun squirrel card. Let's go over the products I used. From Dare to be Artsy, the stamp set called Squirrel, and it has 4 images, one of a girl squirrel, one of a boy squirrel, a large acorn, and a cluster of acorns. It has sentiments like, aw, nuts, go nutty on your birthday. You drive me nutty. I'm nuts about you. Squirrel! And thank you, and sorry I forgot. Okay, I also have the coordinating dies that can cut out the girl, the boy squirrel, the large acorn, and a little flower, just in case you want to decorate with a flower. I have a stencil that has a cloud and grass. It's a duo stencil. Now this is from my own stash. I stamped and cut out a bunch of mini acorns. And here are our boy and girl squirrel. I went ahead and stamped, colored them, and die cut them. So I'm going to focus here so you can see. Here he is. He's holding a little acorn. And she has a little bow and she's holding a flower. And I colored the flower in blue as a forget-me-not. Okay, I die cut some trees out of pattern paper. And we're going to create a slimline card today, as you saw. So I went ahead and die cut my slimline panel. And I'm going to do a little pop-up feature on our card. So I have these little strips, which I scored already, that I stamped with a Woodgrain stamp to create our little pop-up for our card. Alright, so here are our little tree trunks and our little acorns. I did the little acorn trios and I stamped them using 2 shades of brown. So I have a variety of them. Some of them are darker than others. And for our sky, I'm going to pull in Memento Summer Sky. For our trees and grass, I'm going to bring in Versa Magic and Tea Leaves. And for our sentiment, I'm going to bring in Versa Magic and Ocean Depth. Now, Dare to be Artsy has their own line of inks, but I didn't have them. So for my cluster of acorns here, I'm going to bring in Expresso Truffle from Memento. And that's going to be for the background. You'll see in a few minutes. It's just going to create a nice layering effect. So let's get started with our card. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and start adding our clouds. So I'm inking up my brush here with a little bit of Memento Summer Sky. I just tap it off a little bit onto the stencil itself so that it doesn't come out too dark. And just rub it on, moving my cloud stencil across. Now I do not have a long stencil for Slimline. I know they're available now, but I do not have it. So I just scooted across the panel. And I'm not too worried about certain areas because of course the trees will cover it, and as well as our pop-up mechanism. So I'm going to do this a few times, at least 4 or 5 rows of clouds before I start moving on to our grass. So I'm going to bring in the Versa Magic and Tea Leaves, and I'm going to just stencil in our grass. Now starting with a with a light blue card base makes it so much faster. You don't have to put in so much ink. But you do have to work a little bit more for your grass. But it's okay, because once you just keep layering it and adding the ink, the lighter blue coming through just makes the grass look, a little bit lighter. So that you have a lighter and a darker shade of the grass. So for the end here, I'm just going to go ahead and brush on the ink, filling in the area. And I work off the mat and then onto it. So there we have our grass and sky done. I'm going to clean up my area so I don't end up with a bunch of green ink everywhere. Close everything up. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment before we build our card. I want to make sure I have it, plenty of space for it. So I have it already in my stamping platform. I'm going to use the I'm nuts about you. Making sure it's lined up. Once I know it is, I go ahead and stamp it using the Versa Magic in Ocean Depth. I do it twice so I get a nice dark stamp image. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and ink up our little trees. Why am I doing this? Because up close, you can't see it so much on the camera. It gives it a nice shadowing effect on the edges. Also, this is cut from pattern paper, so the back of it is white. So that means my edges are white, and I don't want white edges on my trees. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up my edges. So for the large tree and the small tree, I went ahead and backed it with some cardstock because I wanted to have it a little more sturdy. But for the one large tree that doesn't have a trunk, because I'm gluing here the trunks to my trees, I just left it plain pattern paper because I'll be just adhering that directly to my card panel. So I'm going to adhere my little trunk to my small tree here, and I'm going to set those aside. I'm also going to glue the pop-up portion of our mechanism. Like I said, I went ahead and stamped this using the Expresso Truffle ink onto craft paper using a Woodgrain stamp. I'm going to adhere these two panels together and press them into place. Now I'm going to adhere I'm sorry I'm off screen here, but I'm just adding a little glue and adhering the little bar that goes inside your pop-up panel. And now I'm going to you see it's now adhered. I'm going to add a little more adhesive here to the other side and press it in place. I'm going to be honest, I should have used regular tape here. I thought the glue will hold it, but when I let it go, it completely came undone. So I have to keep fussing with it to make sure it stays in place. Once I know it staying in place, I work the mechanism back and forth so it moves easily. So back to my card. I'm going to go ahead and adhere our tree here, the trunkless tree, right here, because it's going to be part of our background. Here I got smart and used my tear tape. So I'm going to put some tear tape on those little tabs, and I'm going to adhere that just below the tree, trying to get as even to the edge of the card and the bottom of the card panel. This is the front panel, I should say. Alright, so I only removed a portion of my adhesive backing here so that I need to adjust. It's easy to pick it up and move it over. Once I have it where I want it, I can just press it and then remove the other portion of the backing. Now I'm going to work the mechanism back and forth. So when you go to mail this, you just lay it flat, just like you do a pop-up card, and stick it in your envelope. Now I'm going to glue my little girl here on her little tree balcony. That's what we're going to call it. And I added a little adhesive to her feet and her little bottom. And again, I'm a little bit off camera here. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to fussy it into place. And now there she is in her little balcony, holding her forget-me-not flower. And now I'm going to adhere the other trees into place. I'm going to start with our larger tree, and we're going to go to the left of our sentiment. Pressing it down, making sure it stays. And now I'm going to go back and forth with this little tree. First I say there, then I say here. Then I realize, no, I want my little guy there. So I will go ahead and place it here so it doesn't look so empty over there. So I'm going to go ahead and place it next to our little balcony, making sure that I can still fold my card flat. So here I'm bringing in the little cluster of acorns and some Memento Expresso Truffle ink, and I'm going to stamp this twice. What I'm creating is just a background layer for our acorns. Our little guy is going to sit on this pile of acorns that he's been gathering just for his little girl. Okay, so now I'm going to adhere all those little acorns I went ahead and stamped and cut out earlier. Just putting little dots of glue and just using my embellishment wand here and just placing them every which way. I have some that are a little darker than others. I try to put the darker ones towards the bottom and then the lighter ones towards the top. I'm just filling in the area, and I'll just keep adding them until I have a nice little pile of acorns for our little guy squirrel to sit on. I'm going to check again. Yep, that looks good. Gonna add one more over here. Press that into place. So now for our guy squirrel, I'm gonna pop him up using some foam adhesive. Gonna grab some, place it here, and fill in his tail and all. He is really nuts about her. I mean, look at all those acorns he gathered for her. So I'm just filling it in. I don't want any of it to bend over. Even a little part of his ear and his acorn there. Remove all the backing off our foam adhesive and place our squirrel on top of his little pile of acorns. Getting him situated, and there he is. So now I want to embellish our, nope, first I'm going to show you a close-up of our little critters. In there, her in her little balcony, he on his little cluster of acorns. All right, so I bring in my card base, which is a top folding landscape style white card base, and it's a Slimline. And I put a little piece of washi tape just to keep my card closed so that I can place my card panel on top without my card base moving or popping up. Place it on, make sure it's straight, get that straight there. All right, so now I'm going to embellish our little balcony with two hearts. One is a clay heart, it's a pink one, and then a small little gold one right next to it. I will also embellish by the sentiment. I'm going to put a clay pink heart up there, as well as a little gold one as well. And then one more tiny gold heart by our squirrel. Boy squirrel, I should say. Just little touches. I didn't want to put too many embellishments because the card is quite full as is. So there you have it. Our card is complete. How cute are they with their love for one another? This set is so adorable. But Artsy has a lot of cute sets at their store. Alright, so let's once again go over what I used to create this card. We used the stamp set called Squirrel and its coordinating die set. Some inks from Memento and Versum Fine inks. I also brought in the stencil for our clouds and grass and some Versum Magic ink for our sentiment and some few embellishments to finish it off. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you found some inspiration. Just in case you missed anything, I will have it all listed in the description box below.